Yeah, I think all that's exactly right on. And I find, at least for myself, that that when where my own joy is meeting the world's needs, that everything I'm giving increases. It increases in myself, and the joy in me increases, and the joy in the people I'm serving increases, and what I'm giving, it doesn't follow the regular laws of physics. When we're in that zone. But one thing that's a little bit interesting to me is then if we bring creativity into the mix, I think we do use our creativity a lot to try to find where that intersection is. But at the same time, I think sometimes our creativity just takes us off on weird tangents that aren't really related to any of that sometimes, don't they? Or is it just me?
No, it's not just you.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm not
My
hearing
hand
you.
must still be up. By sorry, I lowered my hand. I didn't have anything to say for a change. Sorry, Mark. Go.
I didn't really have anything to say other than I identify with that, and also just really quickly is Chris's your point earlier about the DIY projects. Mine aren't DIY, but they are absolutely building things on the web and stuff. Like my buddy group keeps not making fun of me, but they keep commenting on how much I ship. And that's purely because it's something I can control and something that I can, sink my time into and sink my creative energies into and know that it has an outcome. Whereas the stuff I quote unquote need to be doing while I was doing stuff this morning takes so much longer to see. It takes so much longer for it to come to fruition, if it ever will. And that's for the sort of, I don't know, the engineer mindset or whatever I have. Even the creative, like the musician, like you write a song and you can play the song and it is immediately gratifying. Whereas, if I'm trying to hook up a bunch of podcast guest opportunities so I can guest on a bunch of podcasts and get my name out there, like that is a thing that I've got to do, but it's much less gratifying and much less joyful. Yeah, anyway.
It's a real challenge, that, isn't it? If I may respond, is that okay?
Please.
It's a real challenge, isn't it? Where you've habitually got a focus for your creative energies. In this case, we've got this engineer, and that's where I go, and that's where my energy. And it's like, well, yes, but it's not necessarily always fruitful. Like, do I divide it, split it up? Do I learn to shift it over there? Because that's, I guess, what I need to. I struggle with that. I struggle.
I've really found that for me, I can't tell ahead of time why something is important. My intuition kind of guides me in that direction and I'm attracted to it. I have no idea why. And trying to figure out why is not really that useful, actually, because I kind of have to do it to figure that out. And actually, like, stuff makes sense in retrospect. I'm like, oh, that's why I did that. Sometimes years later. That makes sense now. But asking for everything to make sense ahead of time is really, really limiting and really boring. And so actually allowing myself a few of the rabbit holes is like, eventually they kind of join up. And you're like, oh, this is interesting. But it's okay that they don't immediately. And it's okay that maybe they never do. I think there's also a huge amount of, depending on where your skills and your joys lie. I'm so interested in exploring new things and doing new things. This idea of kind of reaching a kind of excellence in any one domain is just not my interest or my skill set. I'm much more interested in doing a whole load of things and being able to use that well. And that breadth of knowing a reasonable amount about a lot of things rather than a huge amount about one thing. That skill is just a different one. And actually, for me, a lot of the transition work has been to start relying on those kind of intrinsic capabilities and trusting that if I chuck myself in a new situation, I can grok it, I can get it. That's not going to be a problem because that's what I do. And I've done it so many times before with all of the random new things that I've picked up and stopped doing academically, professionally, hobby-wise, everything. As well as the fact that very often those things emerge as really useful. I think One of the things that comes up over and over again is explaining things to people using metaphors. And because I've done so many random things, I actually have quite a big library of weird metaphors that can be really helpful. And if nothing else, they're valuable in that.